Good Friday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center for your sports weather segment. Let's go ahead and take a look here at that Doppler radar across North Florida, South Georgia. You do see some shower accent around as we're getting more into our North Florida zones right now. I have it zoomed in on our GR level 3 computer right now, and you can see some of this. So we'll go ahead and try to zoom in even a little bit more here in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and give you a little bit of an area-wide perspective real quick, just so you guys kind of get an idea of what is happening here on a broader scale. And you do see these temperatures pretty uniform, though a little cooler as we're getting north there of Macon, but in our area, pretty uniform overall. 66 in Gainesville, 66 in Keystone, 68 as we get closer there toward Albany, 72 Tallahassee, a little warmer there as of that latest observation. And then as we get over towards St. Augustine, we're at 70 degrees in towards St. Johns County. So you kind of get the idea there. I look at some of those different readings in the viewing circle. So just trying to give you that perspective here on your Friday evening. Your sports weather is going to be coming up in just a moment. I know we're off camera tonight. We're still doing some maintenance here in the studio, trying to get some things set up here, and we'll be back here with that studio set up as we look ahead here in the timeline. Although we'll be back for sure on Monday, may or may not be on camera. We don't know for sure as we try to go ahead and get everything properly aligned. But you get the idea here. Again, look at that Doppler radar. There's some shower activity as we're looking toward parts of Putnam, St. John's. You kind of get the idea. I'll go over toward our other radar one more time before we kind of move along here. You see toward parts of southern St. John's, you have a heavier sour, a little bit of heavier accent there as we're looking west of Marineland right near Interstate 95. And then as we get near Hastings, you see some accent there toward the north around Sawgrass, Ponte Vedra Beach, Durbin. You kind of see some more of that as it moves on in. I'll put this into motion. You can kind of see how things have been progressing over the last little bit as it tries to get a little bit closer here toward areas like Stark, not getting too much in toward Bradford County, but a little bit of it is. I know some interest down towards Sumter County tonight for that South Sumter Bradford contest there in Bushnell, and we'll get into that forecast here in a moment, but it looks like the rain chance is pretty low down there, so that's some good news for everybody involved in that. But getting back up here again, just another view at that Doppler technology as we now switch you over towards some of the area cameras. Will go ahead and start off there with the baseball grounds in toward Jacksonville, and you'll be able to see what's happening there in toward Duval County. You see some of that cloud cover on the camera lens there as we're looking, but overall it's pretty nice around there. And then as we get over toward, it looks like Gainesville, we'll go ahead and get that set up here in just a moment. I do believe as we're switching between some different systems, and we'll go ahead and get that on so you kind of get that perspective there in Alachua County. And there we go right there. You do see some of that cloud cover around there too. Again, you have some of that moisture we've been seeing you under Doppler technology. Nothing too significant, but it's coming out of the east, moving toward the west. You kind of get the idea. I know as we look ahead toward next week, rain chances might go up some, but it's too early to get into too many details. Maybe a little bit higher chance off toward the west as we get maybe toward places like Tallahassee, as we show you that camera lens right now as we head toward that Thanksgiving holiday too. I know many of you trying to kind of look forward to that at least the best you can. As you see here, they're going to be getting ready for a big showdown tomorrow against Clemson or the Seminoles in Tallahassee. Probably not going to go too well in terms of the final score, but it's just about improving, getting better play-by-play really, and putting forth 100% effort in that contest. That game down ABC at noon there. Dave Pask, as of last check, will be calling that one along with Mike Golick. So that game there on ABC at noon. So again, your WeatherStem camera tour, showing you some of those. I think we'll go ahead and end here with the Laurie Elementary School WeatherStem camera. I know I just started introducing this again here recently as we were looking back toward your Monday, and we'll try to pop that one up here real quick. And you do see, as we're getting a little bit darker outside, some of those lights around, but nothing too significant there. So let's get back over towards some of our other systems now as we move along in the sequence. You'll be able to see what is happening here with the Doppler. Again, we're just going to see if some of this affects some of those area high school football games, area high school football playoff action in the state of Florida here tonight. Georgia not quite yet, but still some games that are important up toward that region, at least in terms of that overall play. So we're just going to go ahead and watch the action here as we do see exactly what is going on as we get in terms of that forecast here as we look toward that South Sumter game here in just a moment. We'll go ahead and get into that. First off, real quick, let's go ahead and get through a couple graphics here about the tropics. I do have these in here since we haven't talked since Monday. I do want to talk about what is going on here with the tropics. So climatology suggests here that the chances of the named storms do fall here as we're looking ahead. And right now, we don't have any named storms in the Atlantic. It's the first time we've been able to say that here in a while. But we could have Kappa evolving eventually, but chances pretty low right now. Hopefully, we don't get any more this year. Probably will at some point, though, as we still have that potential around. But definitely want to get this hurricane season over with. It's already wreaked so much havoc. We had the devastation there toward Nicaragua with Iota. So something that was really, really serious there. As we get toward that rainfall forecast, you do see from the Weather Prediction Center next 7 days, kind of give you a little bit of an idea for that Thanksgiving travel forecast. You see some of that moisture there coming off the Atlantic coast toward north central northeast Florida, playing a role in toward the Jacksonville, Gainesville area forecast to some extent. That activity off toward the west coming into the picture. You see some of that moisture there. You see, I know up toward St. Louis getting into quite a bit of rain, it looks like here over that next 7-day period. So just something to kind of take note of there toward parts of east central Missouri. But now let's get to that high school football forecast. I know I've kind of hinted at it, and now we'll go ahead and get to it as we're about 30 minutes away from kickoff now between the Bradford Tornadoes and the South Sumter Raiders. 5-5 versus 4-4 in the FHSA 4A playoffs. Upper 60s, 10% chance of rain. Mostly clear skies, the story. As you kind of seen around the region, a bit breezy at that rain chance here. I mean, not too concerned about that as you saw based on our Doppler. Now, in terms of the game, though, I know I'm in Bradford County hoping the Tornadoes can get that win, but it would be a bit of an upset here as Tornadoes did lose there on homecoming to South Sumter here in Bradford County and Stark, and now going down there. It's going to be hard to get that win, so I do have South Sumter getting the victory tonight. But anything can happen in the playoffs. The game wasn't too out of reach there, so again, hopefully the Tornadoes can turn that around. But now as we go over toward that college football forecast in Tallahassee tomorrow, noon on ABC, around 75 degrees there, 10% chance of rain as the Tigers do take on the Seminoles. Great Tigers team. They did lose to Notre Dame there recently. They've had a bye week to recoup, though, and get Trevor Lawrence back as well from the coronavirus, and I think they're going to be firing pretty much on all cylinders here. Maybe not early, but later in the game they will be, I would assume, as you see that forecast there. Again, mostly sunny skies, a bit breezy, 75 or so, 10% chance of rain. The moisture not too big of a threat, but we'll watch there maybe for a passing shower or two, but not too big of a concern overall. Though in terms of the game there, it's looking like Clemson will get a really easy win, probably a blowout victory for the Tigers. I would suspect that if you can stay in it like they did against Notre Dame, I mean, honestly, you'd probably consider that a win, given a good performance like that, at least sticking with a team like this. I mean, Clemson, they don't have any margin for error now. They can't even really just come close in a win against FSU. They really need to win pretty big tomorrow, and I expect Dabo Swinney, Trevor Lawrence to do that against a Seminole team that's banged up, really. Tupper Purdy out for the year, of course, and Jordan Travis, he's been banged up. He's to be back there for that action tomorrow, so hopefully he can do something similar to what he did against North Carolina. Probably wouldn't still be enough, but at least keep this game competitive here, and what he did against Notre Dame, for that matter, as well. As we look toward Nashville, Tennessee, though, the Gators going up facing the 0-6 Commodores. They're number 6 in the country. Speaking of them, upper 60s is story with that game at noon on ESPN. 5% chance of rain or so with those partly sunny conditions. Those skies there, the story with them being pretty nice, but some of that cloud cover, maybe trying to keep some of that temperature accent down a little bit, as the Gators should get the win over Vanderbilt. I mean, Vandy hadn't won a game. They've been blown out in a bunch of games, and The one game at the beginning of the year against Texas A&M that was pretty close. I think it was just an anomaly because Texas A&M hadn't really gotten into form there. They hadn't really gotten into form at that point. So that's something to keep in mind too. But I think the Gators could win by 20, 30, 40. I mean, they won 56-0 last year, I believe. So that's even a possibility, something in that range as well. Now, in terms of my college football top 7, I haven't done this in a little while, but it's pretty similar to what the national rankings have. The one exception is actually right here in comparison to the AP poll. I put BYU over Cincinnati right now, though. Cincinnati could jump BYU if they're really impressive against UCF tomorrow in Orlando, as we'll be watching that forecast there as well. But as you see here, number 6, the Gators there just above Zach Wilson's BYU squad there. Kyle Trask playing so well, right in line there as a Heisman contender. And then number 5, as we look toward Texas A&M, they did beat Florida head-to-head. The Gators have been playing better recently. We'll just have to see how things go the rest of the year. If Florida were to make it to the SEC title game as expected and beat Alabama, then they'd be in the playoff, I would suspect there. So unless they lose a game down the stretch in between. Clemson, number 4 in the country there. Of course, we've talked about Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully the Noles can keep it close there. Just try their best, really. That's what we want to do. My alma mater, the Seminoles, trying their best tomorrow against the Clemson Tigers. But again, Clemson, they want to keep winning here at this point. They got to keep winning. They lost their last game. So if they lose any more, they're out of the playoffs pretty much for sure. And then as we get to number 3 now, we're going to jump ahead of Clemson to Ohio State. They've only won 3 games, played 3 games there, but right now I almost considered having them above Notre Dame in the poll just based on the overall talent level. But I had to account for Notre Dame's body of work at being at 8-0, beating Clemson there, beating some other pretty good teams as well this season. I just thought Notre Dame, for now, they earned that spot ahead of Ohio State, as the AP poll did have them above the Buckeyes. And then Alabama, number 1 there, another Heisman contender. I mean, we have a Heisman contender there in Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields with Ohio State. And then Alabama, of course, there with their contender Mac Jones there. He's from the Bowl School in our area, so we'll see what he does there tomorrow against Kentucky. Again, they're number 1 in the country in my poll, number 1 in the AP poll, 6-0 right now, trying to get to 7-0. I know that game against LSU wasn't able to get played there last Saturday because of the coronavirus, but still doing so well. Are the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban trying to win yet another national title. He hadn't won one too recently, I guess you could say, with LSU winning last year there and Clemson the year before. So he's going to be trying to get back there on top of that poll, on top of college football world, really, as we now look here toward the NFL, where the Jaguars are really struggling. They're 1-8 here, going up against the 9-0 Pittsburgh Steelers, trying to be that first undefeated team since the 72 Dolphins. And I don't think the Jags are going to give them too much trouble. Maybe a little closer than the experts think. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think the Steelers will get it done. Upper 70s, a story there with that 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn on the call at the last check there. 20% chance of rain. Could get some passing showers as we've talked about coming in from the east. Partly cloudy skies, a bit breezy, and then for that prediction, of course, the Steelers getting a win over the Jaguars is what I have there. So again, just trying to get through the sports weather here. I know we're still doing some things in the studio, so trying to give you everything you need there in terms of some of those game forecasts, both on the field in terms of that action there in terms of the play, and then of course with the weather conditions as well. Always important. I know some games you're not seeing as many fans, but still always important to look at that as we look at Doppler radar one more time. There's high school football games as we're looking toward our First Coast counties here. Could have some light showers, shouldn't disrupt the action too much, but could get the players, the fans a little bit wet here. So that's something to take into consideration as we're looking ahead throughout the evening hours. I'll be back on Monday here with our full weather segment, so tune in for that, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday here, and maybe you'll see me on camera as we're getting some things fixed here in the studio, doing some maintenance. And just again, I hope everybody has a great evening tonight, a great Saturday, and a great Sunday as well.